Welcome back, friends, to the first video of 2020. I guess this is the video where we have to talk about resolutions. Now, as you guys know, I don't do resolutions because I know myself well enough to know that I'm never going to follow through on them, so what's the point? But I want to talk about drinking today. So a lot of folks have asked me how that's been going. 7 months ago, if you're just joining me, I made the decision to give up alcohol 100%. Now, when I did this, I told myself if I can make it through summertime and not have a drink, then that would pretty much tell me that I wasn't having a problem with it. Well, the benefits and I guess the way it changed my life in so many positive ways that I decided at the end of that, basically at the end of the summer, to completely give it up. And here we are 7 months later, and I even made it through the trying times of Christmas and New Year's without having any alcohol. Now, I'm going to preface that 2 times I did. So over Christmas, when we were at the in-laws, we had a traditional Swedish toast, what was it, aquavit or some sort of a schnapps of some sorts. I did that just out of politeness. And then the other night at New Year's Eve, somebody put something in my hand when we were doing the balloons, and I tasted it. It was champagne. So those are the 2 times. So I want to be completely candid with you, but they weren't. I wouldn't consider that really to be drinking. It was just, it was a social thing. It was the right thing to do, and I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. So let's talk about the 10 things that have changed in my life from giving up alcohol. Number 1, I'd have to say is stop doing stupid things. Now, not entirely, but on a whole different level, right? So what I mean by stupid things is, I think for a lot of us, the inhibitions, as we all know, all drop down, and maybe you buy things, or you say things, or you eat things that you wouldn't normally do if you were completely in charge of your faculties, right? So what I found was bad habits developing. You go and you have a couple cocktails, with dinner and such, and then of course you're stopping for ice cream or cake, and so you start gaining weight, right? Or you're at a party and you'll notice, it's very different. This is the first time in my life I've ever been in really big social gatherings where everyone is partaking, everyone's drinking, and I'm not, and watching the change, watching people say things that we're going to regret, maybe, make advances that they wouldn't normally do, or air dirty laundry about their spouse. It's very, very interesting watching this from a perspective of a person that's not drinking. Now, the trap that comes with that, and you got to be careful, and I find myself getting into this, and I know better than this, is there's nothing more insufferable than a new convert to something, whether it be religion or CrossFit or yoga. I mean, we know the story. There's a meme, there's a joke about it. How do you know who the vegan is in your dinner party? Well, just wait, they'll tell you, right? Well, when you do something like the drinking and you're the only person in the room, the first thing you just want to do is like, well, I don't drink anymore, virtue signaling and posturing. And I caught myself doing that. And everyone knows, it's obvious. So what I would recommend you do, is just keep your mouth shut. Keep it to yourself and don't make people uncomfortable. Get yourself a red Solo cup, something that no one can see what's inside, and just get yourself some juice or water and just go along and don't be a stick in the mud. Don't be there to try to bring everyone down. It's not their problem, it's your problem. And not everyone has a problem. C.S. Lewis put it so perfectly, and that be careful judging other guys because they may have a problem with drinking or gambling, and you can look at them and think, whoa, I don't have a gambling problem. Why doesn't that guy get his act together? But on the reverse side of it, there is something built into that man that gives him the ability to take great risks. I mean, just think what he can accomplish. If you take a guy that's unwilling to gamble, where is the deficit? What are the things in his life that he was afraid to do? So I'm just saying it's complicated. It's not for everyone. So if I'm speaking to you, if you're like me, a person of extremes, and you take everything to extreme, well, and maybe it's time to back away from it. So stop doing stupid things was number 1. Number 2, sleep, to be able to enjoy the sleep of the just. I don't remember, I guess it's probably been since I was a little kid, to be able to my head hits the pillow now. I oftentimes don't wake up until the morning. Before I'd wake up early in the morning, and you're, middle of the night, and you're dehydrated, and you just feel terrible the next day. Just to have that sleep back, it affects your life in so many ways. A colorful pallor comes back to you. You are healthier. You have motivation. You're more creative to do things. The next day you wake up, you hop out of bed, and you look forward to the day instead of just writing the whole day off because maybe you drank too much the night before. And how many times does that happen? So that having uninterrupted peaceful, justful sleep is number 2. Number 3, having a clear mind, and that kind of plays on what we just said, to be able to jump right out of bed and get to work on your projects, and to be able to think and to reason and to do calculations and to do the things you need to do, and to be effective and just more productive is number 3. Number 4 is accomplish more. I mean, all these things kind of play in together here. Instead of waking up at 9:30, 10 o'clock, you're up early, you just get more stuff done. Number 5 is save money. You don't realize maybe you do, how expensive it is to go out and, what's a cocktail cost? You 2 or 3, 7, 8, 9, $10 a piece, beers, $6 now. That adds up, especially when it's, multiple times a week. But the big expense, I think, came from me was, after you have a couple drinks, just jumping online and start getting on websites and ordering stuff, right? You're like, oh, I find that I will buy and order things. I'll justify, it's easier to justify the expense in my mind when I've had a couple drinks. And then it comes, and the next day you're thinking, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? Do I need any more of this stuff? Did I really need that? But I really thought that I did at the time. So the savings of money, I'll bet that it numbers, if you really knew the numbers, if you looked at what you spend on alcohol as well as what you spend on ordering extra food and stuff that you order, on the computer, I'll bet it would be thousands of dollars a year. So saving money has been a big one. Number 6, it's probably the best weight loss program that there is. I haven't, I think when I started, I was, coming up on like 219 pounds, which is really heavy for me. I'm not a big frame person. I wanted to get back down like to 190, 195, and that's about where I've been staying, 190, 195, eating anything that I want. I still eat ice cream, but I don't eat near as much, and I don't eat out as much. What I found is that we probably ate out way more when we drank, because I thought I was convincing myself in my mind, like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to go eat out? But the reality of it was an excuse to go and to have a beer. So all our decisions and to, hey, let's go here, let's go there, wasn't necessarily for the food, it was for the alcohol. And I know that's true now, because when I go back to those places now, I don't enjoy them near as much. And many of the places we've just stopped going altogether. And what I found out was, you liar, you've been lying to yourself. You didn't want to go there because of the food. You wanted to go there because you could have good beer. so that's number 7? No, number 6. Number 7 is respect. Respect to your wife, the respect of your children when they're not watching, because they're watching you, and we are, as men and husbands, we're the head of our household, and we lead by example. And here's a little thing, if you have a girlfriend or a mate that maybe you think is maybe drinking too much, or the other way, but especially for the men, just by you not saying anything, don't lecture and don't talk down to anyone, but if you make the decision to do it, just do it. Be discreet about it. Don't make a big deal about it. And what you'll find is typically our women will fall in line with us. We lead by example, and they're going to see that. And I think that, don't worry about, maybe you've drank too much around your children, or maybe you've done or said things that you cringe when you think about it. But I'll tell you the truth, even if that's been the case, and certainly that's happened to me before, the fact that you were able to overcome it and to make that decision and to stand strong and to give up alcohol, get it out of your life, you will have more respect from your family members, and it will undo a lot of the things that you did, and you can get that respect back. Don't trumpet it about, don't make a big deal about it, just be discreet and just do it, and people will notice. Number 8, I already touched on, but don't be the insufferable convert that tells everyone about it. It's, again, we don't need to keep hammering it home, but just be discreet about it, and just make that commitment to yourself. You're not proving anything to anyone else. You're doing it for yourself. Number 9, what you'll find is you'll be very proud of yourself. For me personally, I feel a little sorry for myself when I'm at a place and everyone's enjoying a beer and I'm not having one, and I'm pouting a little bit inside, and I'm looking at it and my lips are smacking, But when you get through that and you're in the car and you're looking at your loved ones in the back seat and you're completely sober, you have a sense of pride and accomplishment that comes over you, that makes you just feel really great. Especially the next morning, you went to a party and you didn't drink and you're not hungover, and you wake up in the morning and you're shaving and getting ready for the day, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you think, man, I'm so proud of myself that I'm not wrecked, I'm not destroyed for the day, that I'm not hungover in front of my family and all that and just feeling terrible. I was able to get through that, and now I can do whatever I want to do, and I'm not just wrecked from drinking too much the night before. And number 10, I think I got through 10, is I'm just happier. Just a happier person. There's a sense of accomplishment. 7 months, I mean, that's a long time. And there were a lot of opportunities, and there were a lot of times that I really, really wavered and struggled. I mean, I was even justifying it in my mind, you know, when I was a couple times I told myself, well, when that waitress comes back, I'm just going to go ahead and order a beer. Everybody looks like they're enjoying it, but I didn't. And I drew strength from knowing that there are several of you guys that are doing it as well. As I've said in previous videos, I was inspired by Owen, who originally did this, and as far as I know, he's has completely given up alcohol as well. So I want you to know that when you find yourself in that situation and you're struggling and you're having a hard time, just remember that I'm here going through the same thing with you. Owen's going through the same thing. A bunch of other guys are going through the same thing. And if we can do it, then you can do it. You're not alone. You know, you don't have to, even though, you know, you don't have someone holding your hand, you don't need to. You can check in with me. You can email us. You can comment. You can get support that way. But know that you're not going through anything that the rest of us aren't going through. It's just as hard for us, but we lift one another up. So just draw strength from that. I know I did many times. I knew I didn't want to let the guys down that were doing it with me, and it helped me to get through it. I want to close with this, just something to think about. Paul wrote, I wrote it down here so I'd get it right. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child, and I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. What does that mean to us? So get away from if you're a man raising kids and you're married and you're you have the responsibility, the burden of leadership, the burden of the priesthood of your household, you know, really take that to heart. If you're still in your 30s and 40s and still reminiscing about getting hammered on the weekend and, oh man, remember that time and remember this, and you know, there's a time, maybe there's a time for that. I certainly I certainly made time for it when I was younger, but now, you know, it's time. Maybe it's time to put away those things, to be sober of mind, to look upon the responsibilities in front of us, look at the example of leadership that we need to be putting forward there for our families and for our fellow men, and it's time to put those things away. If alcohol has ruled your life as it did for me for so long, it's time to put that away. That's a thing of childhood. That's a thing of there's just no room in a guy's life for it anymore. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with alcohol. I'm saying that if you're a person of extremes and you take it too far, like I always do, it might be best just to step away from it. Would I ever sit down and enjoy a glass of wine with my wife over an Italian meal or a celebration for this or that? I'm going to be very careful about it, maybe, but it would have to be a very special occasion and very isolated. But as for me, in my decision, I pretty much just consider myself to be a non-drinker. Not drinking at parties, not drinking at home, maybe partaking a toast on special occasions, wedding, New Year's, you know, things like that occasionally, but never to the point of being drunk. And I could easily, after doing it for 7 months, I know that there's nothing that's been presented to me that I can't overcome. I've fought through it. I've been through the holidays, and if I can do it, you can do it. So put away those childish things, step up, do what you have to do, and take comfort knowing that you're not by yourself, and that we're all doing this together. So that's enough of my pontificating here. So next video, we will be doing chainsaw milling, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families, and we'll see you guys on the next video.